Very well. So, before anything else, I really do apologize for taking so long. Um, Anxiety is just like that sometimes, I guess. Um, I was writing down some notes, and at the very least, I learned that those things can take quite a bit longer than originally anticipated. So that, if nothing else, is a good thing to learn about. Ok. Saluti a tutti gli amici, io sono Conita Buonarroti e vedo che vuole regare a tutti gli amici molto felici. Let us start with the Twitch advertisement. I apologize for being so nervous. Very well. Let me drink a little bit of water, and I will start with the first Zatsu topic of the day, and then we will proceed to do a little bit of vocal training. All right. Just give me a minute. Okay. Now, All right. Okay, so let's start with the Zatsu topic, and um, after that we do a bit of vocal training. I guess you can tell that I am a little bit nervous, and I truly do apologize for that. I guess that is just what happens sometimes. Oh yeah, I forgot one thing. Sorry, but it's alright, right? Sometimes these things are just like you make a little mistake, you start and you stop. The the important thing is that you keep moving forward. I guess it's like that Miyabi-san's Keika Sengen Blooming Declaration. If you are next to me, or if you wish me goodwill, then I can keep trying many times, and that is what's really important. Yeah. I think actually that's a big part of why I like Miyabi so much. You can tell that he loves his audience so much, that he loves everyone so much, that he wants to keep trying no matter what. And I think that's really very admirable. Okay, I'm gonna bring my monitor and then we will start. Yeah. Thinking of Miyabi really helps me actually. Okay. I apologize for being so nervous. Peter paid the Pied Piper. Let my name be baptized. Let me be again baptized. Henceforth, I never shall be Romeo. How much wood will a woodchuck chuck if he could chuck wood? Richard Hawkwood. Richard Feynman. Let us walk forward. Henceforth. Cavalier. No, that's a French word. If you are wondering what exactly am I doing, I am A-E-O-U. I am trying to get back into speaking into proper English pronunciation. You know, I will tell you one thing that might be of surprise to you. I used to be quite renowned for my pronunciation of English. It was only once I got into a streaming and with the gargantuan anxiety that provided me that I lost a lot of that attention to pronunciation. But generally speaking, when I actually pay attention to what I want to say, then I get a bit better. And one thing that has also helped me quite tremendously is that while I was shadowing, repeating what I heard people who are primary speakers of English say, I did actually make a conscious annotation of what are some of the things that are quite remarkably different when it comes to speaking English versus Spanish. And two of the things that are most noticeable are that in the English language, consonants play a much greater role. And English does not have a full roof of the tongue at almost any point. What do I mean by that? Ricardo Mireles. Spanish, right? Now, an English person will say it Ricardo Mireles. Or, for example, there is this one clip of Fleon, Machinex Fleon, Holosters, speaking a little bit of Spanish. Why this is relevant? Because Fleon is not a native Spanish speaker, and the way that he approximates the language, a language which again he is not familiar with, is very illuminating of the intuitive or natural way in which a primarily English speaker approaches the concept of vowels or the concept of consonants. Now, I don't have the video on hand, and it will take me a bit too long. It will take me a bit too long to actually get the video here. But the way that he says it is, tú me gustas, yo te gusto a ti. Right? He doesn't say, tú, yo te gusto a ti. He doesn't use that hard vowel. And additionally, the sound and the syllable is far more confounded between its consonant and its vowel between its consonant and its vowel when compared to Spanish. En el español existe una distinción bastante grande entre las vocales y las consonantes. Es mucho más marcado que en el inglés. And so that way we can stop and consciously think about sorry, my anxiety is a little about what are some of the position and posture we have to naturally take in order to adopt a more natural or a more, let's for the time being call it proper English enunciation. Now, I know that I had spoken about this topic before, but accent is a different thing from enunciating properly. A person can retain their accent, they can still speak with their regional accent, whichever it might be. But speaking with clarity and correctness is a separate matter entirely. I guess I can say it in this blunt manner. Having a thick accent is not an impediment to proper English speaking, but it is also, or should not be, an excuse for not speaking properly. So You should not think, oh, okay, so I have an X accent. It's impossible for me to speak English in a fancy way, in a clear way, in a very easily intelligible way. No, it is separate. It's a different thing. Even now, in this case, even in the people that with the people that even with the people that they congratulate me on my English speaking, and I had accolades on the academic level, just to give you an idea of when, if I really try and when I am not incredibly nervous, I actually speak very well. Um, um, I myself, I am sure that I have a very marked accent, a very marked. What do you think? Where do you think from? I am from South America, soy de Sudamérica. But generally, if I were to converse with a professor, if I were to converse with a professional, with a foreigner, they will still understand me to perfection, to utter perfection, and they will be amazed. They will say, "Dear me, this young, strapping young lad can really speak English correctly." Now, because it is not the natural way that I speak, and what I mean by that is that primarily I don't think in English. I tend to think in Spanish, and that makes a little difference. I have to generally keep thinking of how will the sounds fit into English system of sounds compared to how they will come out naturally in Spanish systems of sounds. What do I mean? This is the last part we go into this, and then we will continue to the actual, and then we will continue on to the actual Zatsu topic. Let's see. I will say two Spanish names. El Cid Díaz de Vivar. While in English they will say something like El Cid Díaz de Vivar. Or, for example, a lot of English-speaking characters will say El Día de los Muertos, right? But it is not El Día de los Muertos. It is El Día de los Muertos. Even then, you can tell that when I revert back to Spanish, there is just a much greater fluidity and a much lesser tituberance in my speaking. Like, I don't have to think so hard into what I am saying to ensure that I am speaking it correctly, right? No, para nada. Cuando estoy hablando español, simplemente hablo. No tengo que preocuparme de cómo estoy sonando, si estoy sonando correctamente. No particularmente. Me aseguro de hablar con claridad. Me aseguro de hablar de una forma en la que quizás no hablaría cuando estoy almorzando casualmente con alguien o en una conversación sencilla, pero no tengo que preocuparme de que los sonidos fundamentales sean los correctos. What I say there in Spanish is essentially that when I was speaking there in Spanish, I make sure that I speak with what I guess you could call a radio voice, but I don't have to worry about thinking that I am using the correct vowel, that I am using the correct A, and A instead of A, E instead of E, etc. And by the way, English also has like their own versions of harder vowels, but that's a separate topic. I'm starting to relax a little bit. Uh, a word of encouragement to any person that might be studying a secondary language. This is just part of the learning process. It is not always going to be like this for you. Eventually, you will be able to talk naturally. You need to keep in mind that before being a Vtuber, I never had a reason to speak English for hours at a time. So this is something that I was never used to. This is something that I am still learning. And additionally, in my particular case, I face an overwhelming amount of anxiety, and that is also something that places an enormous block and a considerable difficulty for me to speak with proper English. But as you go making the daily effort to speak more and more, to observe the things that you do, the things that you get right, and the mistakes that you make, and to learn from both of those examples, you will get gradually closer and closer to your goal, whichever that might be. Alright, so now let's get into the main topic. Let me just give me 2 minutes. I'm going to walk a little bit, and I'm gonna get some air, and we can start. Greetings, it's circa 8222. Hey, really sorry, I have been taking a little bit. I was writing down here the notes of something that such a topic that I wanted to say, and I am almost ready practically. I will come back in 1 minute, and we can start with the main Zatsu topic, and we'll at least have time for vocal practice. But yeah, grazie mille per venire, grazie mille per essere tornate a questa trasmissione. It's actually about Niji-sanji, and Paitebit. I've been thinking recently about how, apologies, the long path that Niji-sanji traveled since the debut of Paitebit. Okay, I'll be back in 1 minute. Okay. am back. I am back. How is everybody? I hope that you are having a wonderful day. And again, I do wish to apologize for being so anxious today. Um, I did not know what is happening, but what is happening. But I will only mention it very briefly because I already mentioned it before on stream. But I think every time that I am feeling like this, like so anxious or feeling like, oh well, like I don't know if I can do this, I'm so worried, etc. I'm so worried, etc. There are a few private things that I want to think of, like to keep myself grounded and think, okay, yeah, maybe this can be done, maybe this is possible. But in what is relevant to VTubing, I think I often try to think of Miyavi and Altair. Especially Miyavi, but I think Altair is also can be a bit shy too. And I just feel very inspired by their example that despite their shyness or despite their self-doubt, etc., they still go on and do the things that they want to do. And I think a big part of it is that they want to do that for the people that they love, the fans, the other people in their agencies, etc., etc. And I guess that helps me to feel a little bit reassured. Yeah. But especially lately in the last few weeks, especially after the announcement, sorry about that. I've been surprised by realizing just how much I actually like Miyavi. Like, I really, really like Miyavi a lot. There's just something about him that is very lovable. Like, there's just something about Miyavi that is just really, really, really sweet. Recently, By the Beat, which by the way I adore, I really, really like By the Beat, has gotten that record deal with Virgin Group under the Universal Music Group, right? And of course, it was something that was noted, and I think that really amazed a lot of people throughout all of Beethoven. But especially, of course, like fans of By the Beat, we were delighted. Will I describe myself as a fan of By the Beat? Well, I consider Frio my Oshi, but I barely watch many of By the Beat simply because of lack of time. But I really, really, really like Frio. Sorry, I was gagging a little bit. It still felt like it was an incredible victory and a reivindication of everything that By the Beat stood for. And especially in the last few days, I've been thinking, man, Niji Sanji really did come a long, long path from the darkest days of 2024, didn't it? I guess that before proceeding further, I should clarify that where was this in my notes? Sorry, I am. You can probably tell I am a little bit nervous. I should mention that generally speaking, I try to see mostly professional, and so I want to be tactful. I want to be careful with how I word things, because from early on I decided that I don't want to be a channel that just says whatever they want or that just speaks about people in whichever way, etc. I want people to know that um, I I am someone who wants to be careful and considerate and discreet in how they word things. So if you in some points feel or get the impression that I am trying to be like very methodic or careful about my words, or why there are certain things that I don't make any mention of, it's probably because of that. Please keep in mind that there are a few things that I don't feel comfortable saying to you too directly. Okay, let me fix this. Yeah, I am so happy for that. It really is amazing, isn't it? And it couldn't have happened to a more deserving group, because Seal, I don't watch Seal a lot, but I hear that he is an absolute workhorse when it comes to music stuff. Like, he is doing one album after another. Calyx is a big golden retriever, golden retriever energy, and also like a maximum theater kid. Like, he's the most theatrous kid to have ever theatrous kid. Frio, I adore him. Frio, I just adore how Seizo he is. Sable is the one that I am least familiar with, but I really like his voice. Like, I really like Sable's voice. Okay. And I think even like before debut, you can tell that Nijisanji really wanted to do things right with that generation, with Bite a Bit. They really did all of the homework from the experiences that they had in that time, in those years up to the debut and shortly after the debut, to make sure to be able to turn things around for it with Bite a Bit. And actually, another thing that really helped Bite a Bit a lot, and this is something that tends to be a key with like what we call the golden generations. Not only are they indeed like really talented in their own ways, but they also have a very unique kind of synergy with each other. Not only in that a lot of their personalities, like, they play so well off each other. For example, there is just something nice about the banter between Frio and Calyx, or for example, between Seal and Calyx, or how Sable gets along, how all of them really get along with the four of them. That, let's say for example that they were in this. Well, I am sure they were in this before being by the bin. Each of them was like really interesting. I am sure. I know that they must have been like really interesting and really popular talents. But them being together builds something that is absolutely unique to Bite a Bit, which you wouldn't really get from them individually. And that type of rapport and synergy is not something that happens that just happens. Generally speaking, it's not something that just happens. It is the result of a significant amount of background work and team build. Sorry about that. And I guess we can call it team building, to ensure that there will be a good dynamic on screen. And in the case of their idol work, off screen. So that the group Bite a Bit becomes something greater than their individual talents. If that makes any sense. I do apologize. It sometimes maybe I don't word things in the most perfect way. Okay. But I will confess to having a certain level of bias uh, because, frankly, even from their very first song, I really, really like Bite a Bit. And sorry about that. Mm, Beyond being a fan of Bite a Bit, I will confess that I am a big fan of. I wasn't a big fan of Nijisanji. Perhaps more Nijisanji in what it represents than Nijisanji in actuality. I follow some of the talents of Nijisanji, but I especially cherish and treasure the fact that Nijisanji has always believed in the female audience or in a broader demographic than what is wrongly considered the typical, the quote unquote typical in Vtuber. Matter of fact, if I if I make this into a clip, if I make this Zatsu into a clip, then I will probably have something like, come on here. Well, Alconis defends Nijisanji? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, sorta, kinda, I am. I want to cherish Nijisanji and rescue the good points about it. Hopefully, it can make a lesson or something which the wider VTuber community can learn from. Because I know that people will mention that nowadays maybe the current audience, the amount of CCV is maybe lower than it was in the past. But there are two big elements that also had to be taken into account. Wait, that. One, this is only a personal suspicion that I have, but I think that a lot of factors are coming to maybe reducing a little bit of the general audience in VTubing, or at least it can kind of feel that the general scene has been left in a bit of a rut. And the other is that it's also very important to remember that Nijisanji EN was essentially ostracized by the entire EN community. No other agency will have been able to survive such a level of ostracization. So, are they as popular as they were before? Probably not. Is it still amazing that they survive, and not only did they survive, but quite arguably regained their footing, up to the point that what is now one of their most popular generations was able to get the achievement of a record deal. And beyond that, Vtuber in general is doing pretty well from what I understand. Yes, it is still quite amazing. It is still quite amazing that again, in only 2 years, Niji went from being written off as near collapse that so many people thought the agency will stop existing. And I am sorry to say it in my perhaps such a blunt manner, but I kinda get the feeling also that a lot of people wanted Niji to fail because they felt that would be more of a condemnation to the general idea of male VTubers, or the idea of I don't know if I would say necessarily a diverse audience, but you can clearly tell that there are some people in VTubing that didn't really like the fact that some VTubers like aim for a female audience. Well, that is secondary. That is a secondary thing. And how did that happen? More importantly, why were they able to keep afloat? Even though I will recognize, and I think anyone that has heard one drama story after another about ninja, and do I want to be that direct? Yes, I think I want to be that direct, I guess. You also have to see it in the light or into consideration that so many drama stories, so many drama videos have been made about about ninjas, and if they made this slightest mistake, we were sure to hear about it for videos on it. The wider community wouldn't really let us forget it. And I think we can generally recognize that sometimes a few mistakes were made. But I hope you understand that I don't feel too comfortable talking too at depth about that, because again, I try to generally be kinda diplomatic, cautious, professional, etc. So and speaking so carelessly about other people's mistakes is probably not something very conducive to that. There was a very big Nijisanji hate train indeed, and especially let's see how to say it. Sometime around the start of let's say 2025, I kinda began to see a lot of the way that so many people piled up on Ninja with a certain level of suspicion. I guess I can be a little bit blunt in this sense. If people were making so many videos hating on Ninja, by that point it probably wasn't for the sake of defending someone, or it probably wasn't for the sake of a noble goal like shedding light upon abuses in Vtubing or anything like that. It was for their own benefit. It was to ride the drama train. So that is why whenever I saw an indie channel taking on the point of saying, oh yeah, because Ninja is such a disaster, etc., that almost always made me look at the channel with a certain level of I don't know if I will say suspicion, but I guess I will say that it often gave me somewhat not negative, but it gave me a little bit of caution, why are they talking about this? Now, of course, there are a few big mistakes that it's understandable that some people will have taken it kinda badly. So sometimes I understand why people mention it when, oh hey, this thing that X agency did was maybe not that great, or etc. etc. Some things are quite understandable. But when someone makes 3, 5, 7 videos, etc., saying about how Ninja is terrible, blah blah blah. So, one moment, please. Despite everything that happened, all of the drama videos, all of the hate train, all of the ostracizing, all of the less than ideal decisions made within the agency itself, Ninja not only survived, but again it regained a lot of its footing that one of their popular generations was able to get an achievement which only a few holos themselves were able to get. Up to my understanding, only Mrs. Sora Suisse and Morrison have some kind of agreement deal with Universal Music Group or subsidiaries. How and why? How did they get back to that point? I think that if we can speak about a resurgence or a survival on the part of Nijisanji, it can be attributed to two factors. One, maybe I'm a little biased saying this, but By the Beat really was that great. By the Beat really is just that good. And the other is that despite all of the things that could be said about Nijisanji, they, despite everything, maintained their faith and their service towards a segment of the Vtuber market that was underserved. It was unaddressed, it wasn't cared for by other places, other agencies, and therefore that provided an environment that you can't really find in any other place within Beethoven. You know one thing that I always remember when I saw some of the discussions, and keep in mind this was at a time when Nisanji was not popular. Like, it really wasn't popular. I remember seeing or hearing seeing a video about a discussion about, okay, why do Niji sisters support Nijisanji so much? And this is an element that I'm going to try to focus on a bit later. But had you ever stopped to wonder, like, why we say Niji sister? And what are some of the kind of gender implications behind the way that so many of the Vtuber community happily say the word Niji sister as if being a sister, or the undertone of being a Fuyoshi is naturally something that's like crazier or strange, etc. Now, from what I understand, historically, Niji sister actually comes as a, like, let's say, response or as a secondary from the way that the Hololive Kaigai Nikki. Remember, this was like 2021, etc., when Hololive GP was starting to get clipped into English. Were called Holobros. So, like, Holobros on one hand and Niji sisters on the other. There is also the fact that from early on, the Vtubers in Nijisanji, the male Vtubers in Nijisanji were like really big. So there was naturally a bigger congregation of a female audience that gathered around Nijisanji. So, generally speaking, it is true that if you are talking to a Hololive fan, there is about an 80% chance that you are talking to a male fan. And in the case of Nijisanji, it's very talent dependent. But generally speaking, it is still true that if you're talking to a Nijisanji fan, there is apparently a 30 to 85% chance that you are talking to a female fan. I was watching a video about Kylix's audience demographics recently, and apparently he has something like 85% female fans, which I think even in Nijisanji ranks pretty high. I expected that Kylix fans will be majority female, but I did not expect it will be to that degree. I guess he really is that cute. Sorry about that. But okay, so maybe it is something to think about. Maybe it is something to wonder about. Why in a lot of circles in Beethoven, people automatically associate the idea of Niji sister, the idea of femininity, with something negative. Just something to think about, you know? And in fact, I invite anyone who is who might watch the Zatsu clip, etc. To really try and stop and think about like some of the words that sometimes get used in this types of discussion. Like, wait, and we are, without realizing it, using a lot of gendered words to describe these fans in a negative way, or and I, for example, like constantly saying Fuyoshi as if it were crazy or something, or maybe on the other way around, and I like saying Hololight fan as if I might be something that's not that great, etc. Or, for example, when when fans of Nijisanji talk among each other, what are the words that they use to describe this particular topic? What are the words that they use to describe their livers, female and male livers, compared to the kind of words that Hololight fans or fans of other agencies or indie fans use to describe their own talents? And this, I hope this isn't like too controversial to say or anything, but do you wonder if Nijisanji's wider fanbase, not even saying like, for example, the fanbases of someone that is, again, someone like Calyx, where it's 85% female, etc. Do you think that they will have talk, or that they talk about the Vtuber ovulation tracking website Dingabamop the same way that the wider Vtuber community did? I am not even being like particularly rhetorical, I genuinely don't know. But I will hazard a guess that even beyond the fact of them being women themselves, and so understanding more naturally the intricacies of a female cycle. Although of course I will venture a guess. I'm just speaking as a moid here, okay? Just because someone is a woman doesn't mean necessarily that they're always going to understand everything about the female cycle. And of course, like, periods hit very different for different women. A lot of that really does seem to come down to genetics, or like a lot of third factors. It seems to vary different from person to person. But again, beyond them being women themselves, it does seem to me that Nijisanji's audience has, generally speaking, a greater openness to understanding or empathizing with other people's perspectives in a way that I don't know if it happens as widely as in the more male-centric parts of Vtubing. Just an impression that I get. I might be wrong. I might not be. But I might be wrong. So, in the case of Bite a Bit, yeah, I will go to that a little bit later, but again, from the start, and in the case of Nijisanji Yen, from the launch of Luxian, Niji just had, I guess, I am sorry for using a term that's probably going to upset a few people, but a more diverse audience. Yeah, a more diverse audience that will naturally be more, one moment, be more welcoming, or maybe I guess you could say accepting of a kind of person that will enjoy watching male VTubers more. Oh yeah, I got completely sidetracked, didn't I, when speaking about Ninja Sisters. Okay, so people were like asking, okay, why do Ninja Sisters support Nijisanji so much? They already know that Nijisanji is this, the Nijisanji is that, etc. All of the scandals and all of the less than ideal decisions, etc. I very vividly remember reading that one of the biggest reasons that Ninja Sisters gave as to why they keep supporting the agency so much, or more specifically the livers in the agency so much, is they are aware of a lot of the criticism that people have towards Ninja Sanji, and they recognize that a lot of those criticisms are valid and they are well founded. It is not just a slander or anything like that. But the reason that they still support Ninja Sanji despite all of that, it is because they feel it is the only place, the only big agency in all of Vtubing where male and female Vtubers can interact normally, or where they can interact without being made to feel uncomfortable or anything of the sort. And this is only something that I kinda suspect, or something that wasn't said very directly but that I think could be read between the lines. And I know that I talked about this before. Ninja Sanji was for a very long time one of the very few agencies where you were not made to feel like a secondary fan or like an unimportant fan if you were a fan of male VTubers. Ninja just feels more comfortable or more like a home if you are a fan of male VTubers than in other places. It's actually a little bit funny because a couple days ago I was watching one of those typical videos about how much more difficult it is to be a male VTuber, about all the stigma that exists, etc, etc. I have talked before about the fact that it's always, to me it always feels like listening about the reports of an alien planet because of how different that is to my own experience. But an addendum to that is that it also feels, whenever I am watching a clip from UQ Wilson, for example, it's something that feels like such an alien thing because it just isn't part of the reality for a Wilsonite that is watching streams. Or, for example, we were talking about Bite a Bit, right? Frio is such a pure person that a lot of the things that people say about male VTubers being this, being that, etc., they feel like you might as well be talking about a different species. Like, none of the things that people... Oh man, I'm going to be so mean about this. None of the weird stuff that some antis project into the talents, and I am sorry, we can be a little bit honest about that. I think it is a little bit of sexist projection. I think it's the good old antis thinking that male VTubers will act the way that the antis will act. Sorry to tell you, my friend, that is not the case. Sometimes guys are just good. Sometimes men are just good people. Oh man, I really hope that wasn't too direct to say. But it was fundamentally that. Ninja Sanji never stopped believing in that audience. Never stopped believing in, mostly but not exclusively, a female audience. And in return, that audience never stopped believing in Ninja. It was that mutual faith in each other that kept Ninja afloat during its darkest days. Now, a lot of things have been said about the management in Ninja, and one thing that I guess diplomatically everyone can agree on is that they tend to be far more free-rein when compared to the other big agencies. But I truly believe that they were taking notes and they were studying during the more difficult times around, for example, the debut of the Note or the 2 gens that came before it. And they applied the lessons learned to the debut of Bite the Beat. And by the way, Bite the Beat. From the debut song itself, you could tell that Bite the Beat was meant to be a great jam. You can tell that they were, okay, so this is the time when management really wants to get things right, really wants to turn things around. And turn things around they did. Because again, everything about Bite the Beat pretty much from the start was amazing. Their synergy, as you mentioned, was really amazing. Every one of them looked so good. Every one of them was so incredibly professional and dedicated. Every one of them is such an incredibly hard worker. And there is just something about the unified messaging and aesthetic of Bite the Beat as a gen and their functioning within the wider Niji ecosystem that just works. Like, you can tell that everyone, not only by the talents of Bite the Beat, by the way, or even maybe the individual managers of Bite the Beat, but everyone within Niji management and the support of the other talents work together to put their best foot forward. I guess that is one thing we can say about Bite the Beat. Bite the Beat is Niji-sanja at its best. And I really do believe that. I really do think that. And Niji might not be perfect, but Niji, when it gets to Niji at its best, it truly is a beautiful sight to behold. Bite the Beat again is proof of that. Okay, I can leave that as a small place to like pause the Zatsu one. And I can mention another point here, and I'm going to take a very small break. Sorry, I thought I was going to like talk everything about it, but I everything about Niji, but it ended up being a bit long. So there is one thing that I guess I would like to clarify or maybe justify or whatever when it comes to the way that a lot of outsiders misinterpret Box Akuma. And again, I apologize for maybe being a little bit blunt when I say this, but I think that the way that a lot of people assume or ascribe Box success solely to sexy as a merman or the Fujo baiting stuff, whatever, and on a general sense, like how they assume that Niji-sanji's success is only because of Fuyoshi's or whatever, is pretty telling about the profoundly mistaken way that a lot of Vtuber audience interprets the preferences of a lot of female fans. But specifically in the case of Box Akuma, Box got to be as successful and popular as he was, not just because he was completely open to giving the audience, the female audience, something that will really resonate with them and that would really require to leave yourself in a very exposed and vulnerable position. And not only because he did that really well, but also because he himself is a very passionate actor. He is incredibly good at improvising and has always been a really thoughtful person who encourage his community to be a particularly inclusive and a particularly accepting space. A lot of people talk about kindred being many women that are horny for boys, etc. But there were also a lot of gay men or a lot of transgender people that were open about being that, about the identities that they were within amongst the kindred. And they were never made to feel uncomfortable by other fans, or, and this is again the key, by the wider Nijisanji agency, by the wider Nijisanji community. They were never made uncomfortable because of their identity or because of what they were. They always felt comfortable and accepted. I'm going to say it straight up, that is not always the case with some communities in Vtuber. But it was the case with Bog's community because of the efforts that he himself and a lot of people in Luxian did to accommodate a wider, a more diverse community, or whoever you might like to call it. The concrete thing is that they could feel comfortable and they could feel welcome there. And that's why they wanted to support Bog so much. Incidentally, that kind of acceptance is also something that the female demographic itself responds to quite strongly, at least from my impression. And yeah, I think we're just going to mention these two topics and then we move on. Now, something that is at least my secondary impression, or my general impression of the wider Nijisanji community, which maybe a lot of people don't take into account looking from the outside, but maybe as a result of so many of the talents being so different, or I guess, I'm sorry for using this word again, diverse compared to other agencies which might be more uniform in their roster of their characters, is that a lot of agencies, a lot of fan bases, a lot of communities can be actually quite different from one talent to another. Not only, for example, in the sense of gender composition, but maybe different communities had more of a very different vibe between one talent and another. And in the case of Niji, these differences might be to such a level that there is actually a certain level of effort or a certain level of peacekeeping involved in ensuring that all of these diverse communities can have a good time with each other. Can have a good time coexisting with each other. And that coexistence isn't always perfect, but they are still able to have an harmony or a friendship even between very, very different groups of personalities. And I mean groups of personalities in the sense that, for example, fans of X might be more this way and fans of Y might be more that way, etc. Because Niji in itself attracted people that are more agreeable to coexisting well with others. And as an addendum to that, you can feel comfortable and catered to Niji as a female fan in ways that you wouldn't really do so in other spaces. Um, there are certain topics or certain jokes that I could see some Vtubers from other agencies, for example, making, that I could never imagine a Niji talent doing. And conversely, there are certain topics, or there is certain terminology. For example, diverse, that are perhaps more welcome in Niji, but that talents from other places might not necessarily use so much. Again, remember what I said earlier about like maybe people should ask why they automatically associate the word Niji sister with something negative. Maybe you should ask yourself why that is. Maybe ask why. And even if it might bother some, for example, like maybe the word diverse might bother some people. It's probably a good thing to ask yourself why it is that an audience that, like an agency that openly talks about being diverse, can get a kind of audience that is stuck with them through fire and flames. Maybe something to think about. Okay, I do apologize a little bit that I did get a bit particularly blunt at some points. I promise that I am generally trying to be considerate and diplomatic. I guess sometimes I just call a spade, I suppose. But I really do want to be emphatic about the point that I really do think a big part of why Niji Sanji was able to succeed is not only because they remained steadfast in their faith and in their dedication to the fan base that gathered around them, but that also they were completely willing and they were completely committed to avoiding the topics that this fanbase will dislike and including the topics that this fanbase would like. Which I guess fundamentally is what being an entertainer is about, right? You had your audience and you care about the interests and wants and vulnerabilities of your audience, and you fight for your audience. And I think that's why Niji survived, and why I appreciate and defend Niji Sanji so much, despite everything that happened and despite everything that was said about Niji Sanji. Niji might not be perfect, but when Niji is at its best, you get By the Beat. And By the Beat is amazing. Okay, well, that was the main Zatsu topic. I do apologize that it extended so long. I also really apologize that it was so difficult for me to talk about all this. I'm still a very anxious and a very, very shy person. I will take a 2-minute walk, and we will start with at least some of the vocal practice that I promised. And after that, after at least like 30 minutes of vocal practice, we will go into the actual Silent Hill 1 stream. And we will continue playing Silent Hill 1. Okay, see each other in 3 minutes. Okay, just give me 5 minutes more. All right. We can use not this one, not this one, maybe this one, or maybe this one. We can use this YouTube type for now. Excellent. Let's start. Okay, excellent. We got the what? What is going on here? Okay. Now just give me 3 minutes and I think I'm gonna be able to relax. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. Okay. Okay. So, today didn't turn out quite how I hope. I apologize for being so anxious today. Maybe today is just one of those days. I didn't really get to sleep a lot, and apparently coffee really does a number on me. But we are here, so let's at least practice some vocal exercises.
Head voice very easily. I hope that you enjoy. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so.
Please subscribe.
This exercise is so simple, and I'm going to show you how to access your head voice in this way. First of all, just imagine you're saying, "Oh no."
Oh
It
no.
sounds funny. It's like something bad has happened to you.
Oh
But not
no.
really. Oh no.
Hold on. Hold on.
Happened to
Hold
you.
on.
But not really.
That's
Oh
not my face.
no.
Oh no.
As you come from your lower chest voice and go up into that head register, bringing the ease of the lower register up into it. Try it again.
Oh no. Oh, I think I get it now.
Brings everything open. The soft palate is lifted, and you continually get up a little bit higher. Oh no.
Once again, sorry.
Oh, lifted, and you continually get up a little bit higher.
Oh no. Oh no.
Do that several times.
And if you're wondering, this is especially the case with head voice, but sometimes with music practice or with vocal practice, you have to be comfortable doing different vocal behaviors or phonating, speaking, let's say, in ways that are maybe a little bit different than how you will speak normally. Again, it's more exaggerated for head voice, but even when you're practicing chest voice, for example, you still sometimes have to talk in a different way, you know? It's different ways of exercising the voice. You can think of it like acrobatics. When you're practicing acrobatics or when you're practicing an athletic sport, you move in ways different than you will move in quote-unquote normal everyday life.
As you go up into your head register, you're going to feel the ease. You're not straining. Nothing should hurt. After you've done that a little while, go ahead and sing off the top note, no matter what it is. This has to be different for every individual. Oh no. No matter what it is. This has to be different for every individual. Oh no. So find that top note and sing down 5 pitches. Oh no. That's simple. If you would like demonstrations on other specific techniques, please let me know. Thank you very much.
Oh no. Okay, we're going to do another short
Welcome
video.
back, Aaron, with Superior Singing Method, and I want to teach you how to find your head voice. A lot of people never find their head voice, and I know that sounds crazy, but it might actually be you. People think that they do, but they don't necessarily haven't found their head voice. And the reason this is so important is because on those higher notes, if we find our head voice, we could sing higher notes with more power, with less strain, which means we can sing for longer and sound better and all the good things that we want, right? So
This is also another factor behind why a lot of male singers can have such difficulties with
I
higher
want to teach you how to find your head voice,
register in
and
their
I'm also
voice.
going to give you a great exercise on how to strengthen the head voice as well, okay? So we're going to go on a little journey together. Let's get started. So when what most people do that can't find their head voice, you've heard me say this kind of idea several times because this is one of the most common pitfalls of singers, is they try to sing those higher notes with their chest voice. By the way, the chest voice is what I'm speaking in right now, right? This is my chest voice. And here. And this is fine. This is a nice resonant kind of full, for this lower. But when we get to the higher notes, we want to sing in the chest voice. When you try to sing the higher notes with your chest voice, it's that idea of pulling up or pushing or forcing. And
you shouldn't push. You shouldn't force things when
just like falsetto, which we're going to talk a little bit about today. Just like falsetto, you don't want to sing in falsetto, but falsetto is a nice little color here and there, right?
Jesus, that's going to sound. That must have sounded so loud in the microphone setting.
It's just a nice little color. Actually, pulling up your chest voice can be a nice little color too. Like a lot of punk rock singers, if you listen to like Machine Gun Kelly or something, his whole style is based on pulling his chest voice up. So it's like, be my bloody Valentine. It's cool. I like it. I like the sound of it. But if you don't do it right, and probably maybe even if you do it right, you will kill your voice in a very short period of time, or not be able to sing very long in one stretch of a period, because it's incredibly straining on your voice when you're up there. Okay, so we want to learn how to, if you want to do that color, cool, like you can do that. Let's also learn how to sing in that nice resonant head voice. So the head voice is, it's up here, it's up here. This is chest voice.
Chest voice.
This is head voice. And then falsetto. This is head voice. That's flipping into falsetto. Okay, so these are kind of the different ranges.
In my case, sometimes the registers. It's not that the registers themselves can be a bit different, but because I tend to be more high pitched than a lot of men.
It's a lighter quality than. It's a little more weight, right? So
more strong. Compared to this,
what happens with the head voice is it helps you hit those higher notes, but it's nice to be able to blend the head voice and the chest voice, which is the mixed voice. That's going to be a different video, but that's how you get a little more weight and a little
mixing
more
the
power
chest and head
up
voices
in your head voice. So another fun fact about the head voice is guys actually tend to have a harder time finding their head voice than girls and women, and I know there's a lot of gender fluidity, and I'm okay with all that, so it's going to vary from person to person regardless of how you identify.
Okay,
but
thank you, man.
If we can speak generally right now, guys have a slightly harder time because guys tend to have a broader chest voice and a smaller head voice, and women, generally speaking, have a broader head voice and like a shorter, smaller chest voice. So it's a little harder for guys to find their head voice for that reason. So I'm going to give you a couple of exercises, no matter how you identify, to find your head voice. And one of them starts with, I don't know if you used to watch those old
Thank you. It's good you're diverse, my friend.
But Bugs Bunny sings in kind of a pharyngeal range. It's like, what's up, Doc?
What's up, Doc?
What's up, Doc? Up there, kind of like the pharyngeal up there.
What's
up,
up,
your head voice. What's up, Doc? Up there. And that's kind of with a little bit of the NG sound that we talk about, the NG. The NG sound I talk a lot about because it's what's called like connection, like vocal cord or vocal fold connection is that NG helps you get that. So it's not falsetto, right? It's not that light airy sound, but it's and here's the exercise with the NG,
more
and kind of once you find that it's going to be that NG. And then also, just another way to find your head voice is like an owl. Right? That's up there in the head voice. Or like when you were a kid, when you made those ghost sounds. Actually, down low there was the chest voice. But chest voice.
Okay, I think I have finding it there.
Up there. So chest voice is easy to develop. You probably have a very strong chest voice. Again, what I'm speaking in now is my chest voice. So most of us have a pretty well developed chest voice. But we
because it is the base where we speak.
We can sing those higher notes with power, with strength, and that are very connected. And so there are transitions and breaks between the chest and the head voice. We'll talk about that in another video. But this actual exercise, is one that will help blend some of those transitions to avoid some of those cracks and breaks. Listen, smash the like button, hit the notification bell, click the link below. Especially, I have a great quiz. It's how to find your #1 singing killer. I talked about singing killers. Click the link below to find that. It's a great quiz. It's a free quiz, and then
I'm going to do one karaoke
you find out what your singing killer is to help you correct it. So that's all I got for you today. Hope that was helpful.
That I can do with.
I'll see you next time.
With head voice, and we will continue with we will finish this stream, and we will actually go into the Silent Hill 1 stream. We will at least complete the hospital part. I'll be back in 1 minute, and apologies for taking so many breaks today and a little bit reminder that you're awesome. Well, that certainly is true of Amici. I don't know if it's true of my case. Take out the rest unit. Thank you so very much. I know that right now I don't sound particularly relaxed, but reading that actually really did help me a lot. I remember when I posted my little hiatus announcement way back then, and I was amazed by how sweet everyone was. It's better if I don't get too emotional. But it's something that really comforted me how incredibly nice everyone is to me all the time, even though I keep messing up. So that is why I must try harder. Now, the point of the practice with this song, and I think I can only do one song, and really do apologize about that, is to regularly maintain the head voice. So there are a few times where I am going to like constantly be doing like, oh no, oh no, oh no. Because the point here is to have the kind of lightness and the easiness of actually singing in head voice. It's not going to sing well. Don't have any expectations, please, of thinking that it's going to be naturally pleasant to listen to. Sometimes to really practice an aspect or a side of your voice, it does involve focusing or isolating that very particular aspect, that very particular that very particular part of the voice. So, God, I am so nervous. But the lyrics of this song are particularly soothing. That's part of why I chose them. Let's just complete it. I'm going to complete this stream. I'm going to enter the address in, and I finish this stream, and in 5 minutes I start preparing the Silent Hill 1 stream. So I don't know how to do manual writing, but it's on the waiting room on the YouTube channel. I saw earlier on that there were a couple of people watching the stream, and I don't know if this is like too lame to say or anything, but I just want to say that I really am very, very, very happy that that some people take time out of their day to stick and watch around. I am a very imperfect person, and I am sure that there are a lot of things that are also very difficult for you to do. So I take a lot of inspiration from the fact that, remember all the things that I say, for example, that Punjabi is always so sweet and that he is always trying his best, right? I know that you are also trying your best. And that's why I feel really, I don't know if I will say relaxed, but encouraged or comforted with knowing that some people think that that I am worth watching and supporting. And that makes me happy. I think that's the simplest way I can say it. I feel like I move forward despite how intensely scared I am right now. Because I know that you move forward. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about being overly emotional. I promise I'm going to be more relaxed for the next stream. We'll see each other in a few minutes. Thank you for watching. Thank you to everyone that stopped by watching. Grazie mille a circa 8222. Yeah, grazie. See you soon. See you in like 5 minutes.